This is the Coach's Wife Life podcast. I'm Kristen Eargle, your host, a former TV sports reporter and fellow college football coach's wife. I'll go one-on-one with the strong women who are the backbone of college athletics and athletics of all levels. And now, Coach's Wife Life.
This podcast is brought to you by Ruler of Hope. Ruler of Hope is a nonprofit that supports medically fragile children. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can use Venmo at Ruler-Hope or online at rulerofhope.org.
Hey there, I'm Kristen Eargle, and we have an exciting podcast ahead. But first, I want to talk about something we all know way too much about: moving. Just the thought of that can bring an unsettling emotion. Well, I found a team that can take that load off your plate. It's D1 Relocation. This group can do it all. They can organize your move, coordinate with a moving company, and a trusted real estate agent. They can actually vet key household partners such as schools, insurance agents, physicians in the area. They can even help set up your Wi-Fi and water. It's incredible. So I've come to know this team, which is actually founded by a coach's wife. I think you should check it out, whether you're looking to move now or in the future. It's d1relocation.com. Now on to our awesome podcast. I am so thrilled to bring my next guest, Rachel Gajewski, Oklahoma State's softball head coach's wife. Rachel, I am thrilled to welcome you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I have so much to talk about with you, and this is going to be super fun. My listeners are going to be so thrilled to hear your background as well. But we're going to jump to this. Describe yourself on game day in 3 words.
Okay. I would say excited, running, and happy.
Describe your coach in 3 words on game day.
Working, busy, talkative.
There you go. Let's hear about you. Okay, I'm going to run through some stats to let everybody know.
Okay.
It's incredible, the two of you, your background, your success. I'm just loving it. So let's start with Coach. 5 trips to the College World Series, final ranking number 6 or better in the last 5 seasons, a Big 12 conference title, incredible stuff going on there in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And as for you, you played the sport as well and coached a world champion in professional softball. You played at Texas A&M, 2 NCAA regional appearances, and I believe also the same at Texas a couple of years before that, right?
Yes.
You were a pitcher. Okay, so my daughter is going to completely fangirl over this podcast. And I am too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you were Rachel Fox when you played.
Yes.
So everybody's like, okay, now we know. Wow. Did you ever envision this life right now as a coach's wife?
No, I didn't. It's so weird. I feel like you get caught up in getting to college when you're a young athlete and getting a scholarship and like all these things. And like, you get so focused on the end goal, and the end goal being, let's make it to college. And then the end goal being, let's make it to the World Series, that, at times it's hard to balance that student part of it, which professional softball has come a long way since I played. So there is a little bit of a future in it, but 95% of those women still do something outside of softball. But my goal was always to be a broadcaster. And so I was doing that path. Yeah, I was doing that path. I got my communications degree from Texas A&M, did a little bit of stuff with the SEC network when I was there. But really, like my senior season, I was like not wanting to get away from softball. And I was like, I'm going to miss this. So I played professionally, and I'm like, I'm going to go. Someone wants to pay for my master's. Let's do that. Let's go get my master's and still be around softball and learn. And I think it was just like something where I was like, not necessarily scared to be done playing, but like I wanted to be around it longer. And so it kind of just like happened and fell together. And I'm super glad that it did, because had it not, I wouldn't be in the position that I am now, married to Kenny and, still around softball every day.
Yes. And what a unique role you have now. Now, you were a coach beforehand. So tell me all about where you grew up, share a little bit more about your playing career and how you guys met.
Okay, so I grew up in Sugar Land, Texas, which is a little suburb of Houston. I went to a private Baptist school from first grade till I graduated high school, which was totally awesome. I love it. I'm actually going back to Texas this weekend to see some of my girlfriends that I grew up with from first grade till we graduated high school. So one of them actually lives in London now, but I'm so excited to just see all of them. We still stay like really great friends. I only graduated with like 7 kids, which we don't have a private school here in Stillwater. And I'm like, kind of wish I could put my kids in that just because of like the camaraderie and the closeness that you have. But started softball when I was about 5. Played. I didn't actually start pitching till I was 13, which is kind of like later, I guess I would say, on the scale of like when kids normally start. But my mother was persistent about me practicing. And I have to credit her. Like my dad would sit on the bucket and my mom would be the one that's like, let's go, Rachel, come on, you got to practice. And then when I eventually started having some success, I started loving practice and doing all that. I was a 2-time Gatorade High School Player of the Year in the state of Texas, which is a pretty big deal.
Really big deal.
Yeah. So like Kenny always leads with that, like my wife was a 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year. And I'm like, yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah, I was. So it's still pretty cool. I have, they reach out to me sometimes to like talk about different things and different players and like present some awards, which is pretty cool. And one of my students now, because I give lessons, was nominated last year for the Oklahoma Gatorade Player of the Year. So that was like a full circle moment, getting to write like her accolades and what it means to win the award, because it's not just softball, it's community service and it's making grades and like doing all this stuff. So it was a pretty big deal to win it, and to win it twice is like really cool. I was the national runner-up my senior year. I lost to a young girl that went to the University of Arizona who ended up having a really great career also. So really cool. I committed to the University of Texas the fall of my sophomore year in high school, which was like really early, but I mean, they gave me a full ride. My parents are all like Longhorns, so it was kind of like a no-brainer. Got there, played 2 seasons, really loved softball, but I did not, like me and my coach didn't get along super well. So I was like, oh, I only have 4 years to play. Entered the transfer portal. That was so different than it is now. Like, let me tell you, like at that time, it was the university held most of the power. So I literally had to go in front of a board of like the president of the university, the dean of students, like our athletic director, and tell them why I feel like I should leave the university. I'm like, oh, so scary. But yeah, so anyway, so I didn't get my appeal. So I had to go home my junior year, and I took 21 hours at a junior college. Like it was so many that I had to go to 2 different junior colleges. And so that was kind of like the loophole where I didn't lose a year of eligibility. So did that, graduated, and then I went to A&M and played 2 seasons there and absolutely had a blast. My head coach, Joe Evans, who is now coaching at a smaller school in California, I do not have enough good things to say about her. Like I fell in love with the game again. And like, she taught me what it's like to be a strong and independent woman. And she's like, you can do anything you set your mind to, Rachel, anything. And like, she would tell me that every single day, anything. And so I credit her for a lot of what has gone on post-college and just creating a life that I'm like so in love with and so happy and like all these things. So played professionally after that, went and got my master's, and then got into college coaching. Started at the University of Incarnate Word and just kind of worked up from there.
Wow. Now, some of us watching will never experience going to the College World Series. So what is that like? What's a day in a life? I know it lasts for several days, a week or more. Talk us through it. What's that experience like?
I would say if I could describe it in one word, it is electric. Like there's 6,000, 7,000 people in this stadium sweating their butts off. Like, but everybody lives and dies by every pitch. Like this is the mecca of softball, and it's here in our state, which is the coolest thing. But it's just electric, and like you can feel the buzz even when you're at the hotel the night before and like the morning of, and you're like, it's just huge. It's huge. And now that there's so much like evenness in the sport. Like there's so many great teams. Like every game is so important and every pitch is so important. And so for the fans to be able to get to enjoy that, and the way the stadium is set up where it's so close and they can accommodate so many people, like it's awesome. And if you're a softball fan, go because it's electric and it's hard to describe unless you're there enjoying it.
I promised my daughter Courtney that we will have to go.
There you go.
1 year for sure. Okay, so I noticed last year, and maybe they've done it for years, I just can't recall, but when someone hits a home run, they go and give that ball to the parents.
Yes.
Okay, but they were joking, like you don't even see the pitcher's parents. Like if you get a strikeout, and that's the truth. Like they're the most nervous people in the room.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, like, were your parents pretty nervous when they watched you pitch? Like,
my mom has this like very distinct voice that I could hear her from the stands, and like even players now that I were like, oh yeah, I remember your mom's voice. Like it's very distinct. But my dad is like very even keel. My mom was the one that was like always cheering, but I wouldn't say they would ever get like super anxious. But there were times, there were some pressure games, let me tell you.
How did you stay calm going? If you knew, when did you know you were going to pitch? Like at what point?
It just depends. I would normally the night before, once you get into like college and like set, like pitchers can throw every day, but like I would be the Friday and the Sunday starter, and then we'd have someone else start on Saturday. So I kind of knew when we came to conference play, that's kind of where it would be, where I'd be throwing.
Best advice for a pitcher when you've walked a couple in a row?
Oh gosh, call timeout, go talk to your catcher, take a deep breath. Like you should have a routine of things that you can do, like release breath or reset breath, like just being able to control the moment. Like having the ball in your hand is a lot of pressure, but remember, you control everything with the game. So you're only throw when you're ready,
Wow. Okay. And so I have so many follow-up questions from your athlete thing, but I'm going to save them. I'm going to come back later and do that. How did you guys meet?
Okay. So we met actually at a coaches convention, the National Fast Pitch Coaches Convention. I just ran in, I saw Kenny and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Kenny Gajewski. Like he just coached at the University of Florida. Like they're so good. And like, and like, it's so funny because I actually played against Kenny. So he's 20 years older than me. I don't know if you knew that. No. So yeah. So I played against him when I was at A&M. And so anyway, it was just, I just went up and just started talking and just kind of worked from there. We did long distance for a while. And then I actually was like, okay, he's a head coach. I'm an assistant coach. Like, this is my person. I've prayed about this. God has said, this is who you need to be with. And I quit my job coaching and moved to Stillwater to be a special ed teacher.
Really?
For a couple of years. Yep.
Wow.
So yeah. And after that, and I kind of got established back in softball, like just giving lessons and coaching like smaller travel ball teams around here. That's how I got back into it. So.
Incredible. Okay, you can say no more. I'm already in love with your story and who you are. As everyone knows, my Landry is in special education. So incredible. And so you're giving lessons now and you have a travel team. What age do you travel with?
So I was helping out with a 14U team. Now my daughter Logan my stepdaughter Logan is 13. So I've stepped back. And so I'm just giving lessons now because if there's something that I could tell parents, like it's okay for your kids to play for other people if they know what they're doing, and you don't have to coach every single thing that they do. So being what Kenny and I do, like it's our profession, we just wanted to be parents. So we stepped back, let someone else coach her. But now I get to still scratch the itch of doing my lessons. So
yes. And you're giving, does she pitch?
She does. She does.
Very good. Very good.
Yep.
Now, okay, so you have more than one child. So tell me more about kids and everything.
Okay, so I have two stepchildren. Preston, he's 18. He'll be 19 here in like a month or so. He just started college at Northern Oklahoma College in Tonkawa, which is like 45 minutes from us. He plays baseball. Logan is 13. and she's in 8th grade here in Perkins. We live in Stillwater, but we go to Perkins schools. It's just a little suburb. She plays softball. And then I have my 6-month-old, my first 6-month-old son. His name is Gray.
Wow.
Yes.
I bet being a mother has just been
the best, like the best. Yeah.
But fun.
Yeah. It was a long road. I'm telling you, like, you always correlate hard work and success. And with Gray, I struggled to get pregnant, and we actually had to do IVF to have him. So, it's like one of these things where it's like hard work, success, you're doing everything that you can. And the doctors are saying, hey, literally, we have no answer to why you're not getting pregnant. And so it's just like, that was a struggle. But now seeing him, he's 6 months old, he's beautiful and happy. He's just a great baby. And so I've known all along since I was little that, like, my goal, what I'm supposed to be in life is a mom. And so that path was very windy, but we're here now. And I'm like, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah. And you've alluded to it now. What do you think some of the toughest adversity you've faced, and how did you get through those moments? What did you rely on?
Well, I would say, you think about these moments in life that are like so big at the moment, and then stepping back once you're on the other side, it's like, man, that was hard in the time, but like God knew what he was doing. So I would say, like, transferring schools was really hard. Moving to Stillwater was really hard. Going through having Gray and like seeing everybody announcing their pregnancies and like I'm like, it's like, oh, it's hard. It's really hard. But if you have a good system and good people around you, and, you're firm in what you believe in, and, you choose to see the optimism in every single situation, like, that can take you really far in life, because there's so many negative things. Like, you just have to choose to see the positive in every situation.
And it's hard to not compare your journey to somebody else.
Absolutely.
And what you live with social media and things like that. That's hard for us to do as moms when our kids are excelling or not excelling, or not being able to have kids, or kids are sick, or or the life that we live now, someone's having more success or getting breaks and things like that. I mean, how do you handle some of that? You've had to block that out for years, being a player, a coach.
Yeah. It's so cliche, but like, Kenny and I, we talk a lot. Like, we just talk about everything. And I think having somebody who's understands that, and I understand what he's doing, and he's understand what I'm doing, and like, just being able to communicate and have him in my back pocket. I'm super close with my mom too. Like, my family is very close. So, I have a great system around me to be able to, bounce ideas off of, and cry to, and, smile with, and just being able to not carry the burden of everything, but being able to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is how I feel, and I need your help with it. And I need to help me with this.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say is kind of how you stay grounded and steady, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say just being appreciative for the life that we have, and know that, although you might face different scenarios and doors may open and close, and just knowing in the end, like, you're where you're supposed to be. Every situation, every hard path is worth it. And God's going to be faithful.
Yeah. Amen to that. Okay. You were a college coach. How does it impact how you see the profession, how you recruit? You have to have an advantage to others out there.
Well, I would say, like, I get it in the sense because I was a college coach. I was never a head coach. So, like, the responsibility that Kenny has is like heavy. Like, his phone is always on. I mean, it's always on. And we'll be at dinner, and like, his phone will ring, and he knows, like, I can give him this certain look where it's like, okay, I can pick that up. Or I can give him this other look where it's like, I need to spend some time with my wife right now. Yeah. So I am not shy about telling him how I feel. what I see with softball, like
Right.
picking his brain, him asking me questions. I think it works really well. He appreciates my knowledge. But I am not afraid to tell him, like, you probably shouldn't have bunted in that situation. Like, like that sort of thing. So, it works well. It works well for us. I would say, uh, being able to have the background of coaching that I did, it has helped, I would say, in our relationship, just because we understand each other more. It works out for us. So
I would say that there's probably maybe 0.5% of my listeners that have coached the same sport as their spouse.
yeah, that's
I mean, it's amazing because he truly can come home and go, that I probably should have done that. No, you shouldn't. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just such a unique dynamic.
Or we don't talk about it at all. Like,
Yeah,
there's
is it
situations
sometimes you
I'm
avoid
like,
it?
"Ooh, it's been a rough day. We're not talking about softball right now." Like, and sometimes I'm like, "We're not talking at all." Like, I need to choose to be quiet, and like, because all he does all day is talk, and do interviews and talk on the phone and raise money and talk to his players, and like, he talks all day long. So there's days where I come home and I'm like, oh, this poor guy, he's tired right now. We're not going to talk. I'm just going to give you a hug, work on dinner, like, that sort of thing. So
I feel like you're a great relationship that you can read him like that.
yeah, it does. It helps.
How do you reach out to the coaches on the staff, the spouses, part of the program?
Mhm.
What's kind of ways that you?
So, the staff that Kenny has now, there's 2 females on it. They're both younger, both played for Kenny, which is really cool. But I am literally in the office almost every day. Like, especially now with Gray, him being so young and Kenny being so busy and traveling so much, like, I'll just pop in, bring lunch. Like, at least 30 minutes every day, I'm in there saying hi, and I'll just, ask him, hey, how's it going? Like, how's dating life going? Things like that. So just being present, talking about stuff besides work, and just asking them about their life, and things like that. It's we have a great relationship. The office that he has is so open. Like, the players come in, they say hi. That's one of his rules. Like, if you come in, you got to come in through the front door and you got to say hi.
Mm-hmm.
So it works. And that, that's the same for me. I just go in and take Gray in there and we just talk, and it works. And then the players come in and I, hey, how's school? What's going on? This and that. So I get to talk to them as well too. And it's really rewarding because I feel like I'm not that far removed from college.
Yeah.
And like, it, looking back, I'm like, dang, it's been 10 years. So it has been a while, but I relate to them because giving my lessons, I'm still around these kids every single day. So getting to ask them about their life and stuff outside of softball, it's pretty rewarding too. And I enjoy it. I really do.
Do they ever ask you specific questions, or you?
Yeah. I would, our pitching coach is really good. Like, she's really young. She's really good. But there'll be times where I'll go out to the bullpen and like, the pitcher might be throwing and she may be like, well, what did you do? And I'll just say, hey, like, I see you're like doing just the slightest thing with your hand, like, and just give my little tidbit of information only when asked though. Like, I'm not like forceful about it. So if they ask, I'll tell them. But normally I try to stay out of the way because the staff that he has is so good that's like, they don't need my opinion. So
How have you seen softball change in the past 10 years? I mean, just the explosion. Isn't it beautiful?
It's wild, and I love it so much, and I'm so excited because it's back in the Olympics coming in 28. But like, people are starting to invest in softball, and if you look at the comparative of growth between softball and baseball, it's wild. Like, a women's sport, the game is fast. You can play it, if played cleanly, in an hour and a half. It's wild how much it's grown. And like, now we'll be traveling and like so many people in the airport will be like, oh, that's Kenny Gajewski. And it's like young girls who are watching the sport, who are learning how to play, doing it correctly. And it just makes me so happy because I'm like, whenever I was growing up, it wasn't super popular. And now it has just taken off. And I think that's because, especially in our state, because we have Oklahoma State and Oklahoma here in the same state, like both teams are so good every year that it's just forcing everyone to watch.
Yes, it is.
So.
And it is so competitive right now. So tell the girls out there, my daughter, 13 years old, dreams of being you. And there's a lot of coaches' kids out there. Help us. What's 2 or 3 things, and maybe our sport's not softball, but what's 2 or 3 things that that you would advise, to reach the level of success that you have and that you're seeing right now? You're at the epitome of this game. Like you're at the highest point of women's
I would say first thing first, like you have to be your biggest fan. This is a game of failure. Like if you fail 7 out of 10 times when you're batting, you're going to be really good. If you fail 6 out of 10 times, you're going to be an All-American. It is wild. Like it is just a game of failure. And on the opposite side, like pitching, it is so minute and so detailed that you have to be able to just pick the positives, throw away the negatives, and move forward. And know, like, there is no success without hard work. You have to work hard. You have to work hard because of how popular the sport's gotten. There's so many little girls. Let's just say I'm 10 years old. There's so many 10-year-olds around the country that are wanting to do the same exact thing that I'm doing. And so I have to work hard. I have to choose to find the positives. I have to choose to pick the best out of every situation and keep moving forward. And if your parents are invested in wanting to help you out, like, do it. Play not only school, play travel, do, whatever you can, and just get immersed in the sport as much as you can.
And talk me through coaches' wives. So you see it from a different perspective in terms of a lot of us, our husbands are coaches, they're listening to this podcast. I mean, they're all sports, but a lot of them are football. And we're doing all this by ourselves. And you mentioned something earlier that caught my eye, which is sometimes we can't coach our own kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be, you can prop them up a little bit if you're able to coach them, get more playing time. But you said something. Why did you say that? That's interesting. That's fascinating because that will resonate a lot with my listeners because they can't coach their kid in a lot of sports.
Right. Well, I mean, everybody has different parenting styles, but we can't hold our kids' hand forever. Like at some point they're going to go off and they're going to go be adults and they're going to go to college and like do all these things. But it's not our job to be their best friend. It's our job to support them and to encourage them and to put them in the best environment possible for them to succeed. So if you have a coach that is going to coach them up correctly, that is going to love on them, mentor them, that's their job. Trust that person is doing what they need to do, and you step back and be a parent. Be a parent, because at the end of the day, your child's going to care more about how you feel about them and not about how you feel they played in the game. So being able to tell them, hey, you did really well, but I think if we do da-da-da-da, or we practice or whatever, and coach said this, okay, well, then we trust what coach says. You can't control everything. And for a while I was trying to do that with my stepdaughter, Logan. And like, it was backfiring in our relationship. So we weren't able to like take positive steps because I was like trying to not control, but like I was trying to coach her, and she was like, she just wanted me to be her parent. Like, so having that balance where you're not always in control, but you're like still supporting.
Yeah. And that's tough to do sometimes. We as parents control, but we can't. Letting that go is sometimes a big blessing. Mm-hmm. When you think about the level of success that you have had in your career and coach has had in his career, there's discipline personal discipline, accountability that's happening at home. What would you say that's carrying over for you guys, how you structure your day, perhaps, that's carrying over on the field?
Oh, well, that structure's changed a little bit since we've had a baby, I will say. But like my non-negotiables for me is I work out every day. I create that time for myself. I take it, I enjoy it, and then I go and be a mom again. And Kenny has a coffee group that he goes to every morning. It's guys who are just guys around town, have nothing to do with sports, and they probably don't even talk about softball half the time. Like, it's just a way for him to have an avenue to just be a normal dude, and enjoy that. And so we each have our little like vices, I guess you would say, to be able to balance out the what you would say stress of the job, which, if you ask Kenny, he would say, they pay me to be a college softball coach. This is wild. But and I would agree with him too. It is kind of crazy to think they're paying you to coach. Like, it's crazy. But we just have certain things that we, creating time for ourselves. And then, we do date nights. Those are important, non-negotiables. We take trips with the kids, without the kids. And it's harder with Gray, but I try to go to bed at the same time every night, like with him. So we sit down together and we might not talk. We might talk. I might just hug him. Like, he might just hug me. Like, it's like just certain things like that where you're intentional with your time with your spouse.
That's great wisdom. I love that. You transitioned from being a coach to being a coach's wife. Did you get any advice along the way? Do you have any mentors that you're kind of learning?
Yeah, so Janelle Mosiello, her husband is the assistant baseball coach at TCU. She's a good friend of ours, but she's just like the epitome of a good coach's wife. She supports, she listens. She has 3 boys who play, or 2 boys that play baseball, 1 that plays golf. And you like look at her and you feel like she doesn't miss a beat. But she's given me good wisdom and good insight about, how to just listen and how to talk when you need to and be supportive and take the trips and travel on the road trips and be there when you can.
Do you go on the away trip sometimes?
I try to. Like, there's certain places where I'm like, I have no desire to go there. I'm not going to go there. But, like when they go to Florida for the first week of the year, I'm like, yep, I'm going there. We're going to Mexico this year. Yep, I'm going there. And those are back-to-back weeks. I'm like, yes, no. But I try to. And Kenny has told me that he enjoys it. So until he says, Rachel, I need my space, like, I'm going.
Yeah, for sure. I truly love the away trips.
Oh, yeah.
And he's busy. It's not like he's hanging out. He can't do anything with me or the kids. But as we're recording this, which these air a little bit later, we're headed to go play at Indiana. And so, I think it's really fun for the kids to see kind of their routine and be a part of things. Even if they're not eating with the team, we can't do things like that without being like the bowl game. But just to be a part of things is really special. And then, because we're not responsible for recruiting or anything during that time period. Right. So it's kind of a fun trip,
Yeah, it's fun. I like to go on the road, and it's fun to see different, like college towns are so cool. So just to see different college towns and what they like bring to the table, it's like, I enjoy that.
Yes, definitely. For sure. What you're going to have to brag on yourself, and I don't think you're going to do it, but I'm going to make you. So what do you think that you're doing right now that might be helping to create some success that we're seeing with Oklahoma State softball?
Oh, jeez. Well, I think supporting Kenny, first of all, because if you have a great leader, everything else is kind of a trickle-down effect. So just being someone that's stable and listening and helping him be the best coach that he can be, recruiting wise, supporting that when he's gone. Like, it's hard. Like, your husband's gone and you're raising an infant. Like, it's crazy. But background, having to, my background, knowing, been through it, like it's part of the sport. So I don't think I have any direct success, like any impact on the direct success of the team, but I have the ability to create some positive sort of things in the clubhouse. And, just my role is to listen and not be super involved, but involved when asked. So if that answers your question.
It does. How much are you involved in recruiting?
Oh, none. Well, okay, I will say, whenever I was coaching travel, I would say, hey, Kenny, this kid's really good. But I have a couple kids that I coach right now with my lessons that I'm like, this kid's really good. And like, he'll be like, she's good, but she's not Oklahoma State good. Like, so then I'll have to change some things up. And like, because that, like right now, if you were to ask my kids, like, what's the goal? They're going to say Oklahoma State. Like, it's the best top 5 program in the country. So being able to pivot, like, again, he helps me, I help him, we work together.
Talk about raising children. You talked about how it's a little bit different now with your son. Reflect back on when you were raised. Obviously, your parents weren't college coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm guessing you didn't mention it. So like,
No,
how is that different? It's harder. You're living away from home. What
Yeah.
are some things that you've focused on? How do you think you've kind of mentioned some of it. How do you approach athletics with your kids and with your son? How do you think you're going to, that's kind of a long, far away question because he's.
Oh, no, that's fine. The beauty of being in sports and being in America is like, you can pick whatever you want to do. And my job is not to tell him, hey, you need to play baseball, right? Like, no, it's, oh, you want to do soccer? Let's do that. Oh, you want to play a piano? Like, let's do that, and then once you get a little bit older, try it all out. Like, I think when I was in college and recruiting players, I liked to see them when they were in 2 different sports because it just means you're more well-rounded, more athletic, like things like that. So I'm going to leave that up to him. Whatever Gray wants to do, like, do it. But when you commit to something, you do it with everything you have and you give it your full effort. And then if it doesn't work out, then we change plans. But try it all and then pick what you want to do.
You talked about balance for you is working out every single day. Do you run? Do you lift? What's your thing?
I love my Peloton. So I was doing Orange Theory when I had Gray, and I did that with him up until I was 39 weeks pregnant. So yeah, I felt so good, and it's been hard to get back in that, but like I have a Peloton bike here, I have a Peloton tread. So I love being able to like pick and choose my classes. Okay, I have 45 minutes. Okay, I'm going to do 45 minutes today. Okay, I only have 30 minutes. And then just kind of tailoring it to what I have and how Gray's doing and kind of his cues and things like that. So I really love my Peloton. I cannot suggest it more.
Very good. And you can do it from home when
That's right.
That's right. Or anything like that.
Or when I travel, because there's an app and I can do the same thing. And there we go. So I'm not missing a beat.
I didn't know. Okay.
Yes.
I need to hear this. Okay. What would you say the game of softball has meant to your family?
Oh, wow. After the World Series every year, they have all these seniors like write a letter to softball. I never did one, but I think that's like kind of what you're asking now. It's been a lot because it's opened up a lot of doors. It's allowed me to meet my husband. It's allowed me to get 2 degrees 3 degrees, 2 undergrads and a master. It's a game of fun. Like it's just so fun. It's so fast. And I am appreciative, I guess, to the sport, I guess I would say, because it has just provided me a beautiful life. And I'm very thankful.
Final question before we hit rapid fire. What are some most rewarding aspects to you about being a coach's wife now that you're on this side of things?
Being able to positively impact young people. Being around young people keeps you young. And I think Kenny has the ability to literally change the trajectory of someone's life. We have kids that parents passed away when they were young, and like Kenny is the fatherly figure, and like being able to have first generation college kids and just the impact that you can have on their life far beyond the 4 years that they're at the university is pretty rewarding.
It's special. Okay, rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Who is the most famous person in your phone?
Jackson Holiday.
Ah, baseball player. Okay.
Yes.
What's one item on your bucket list you have checked off and one thing still to check off?
Okay. Travel to Turks and Caicos. That's our favorite place to go. I've always wanted to go there when I was growing up. And then the one thing that I haven't done that I want to do is to see an elephant in the wild.
Oh,
that's my favorite animal. Yes.
Fascinating. Okay. Who are the last 3 people you have texted?
My mom, my mom, Kenny, and my sister.
There you go. Funniest account you follow on Instagram?
Oh gosh. Matt Rife. He's a comedian.
What about your life impresses your kids the most?
Probably my success with softball and the athletes that I know through the sport of softball and baseball.
I would imagine it's pretty amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
What was your walk-up song? Okay. If you can remember this. And what would be your walk-up song today?
It was Enter Sandman. So if you think Mariano Rivera is the greatest closer of all time, New York Yankees. That was it. And what would it be now? Oh gosh. I don't know. Probably some country song.
Yeah.
Something upbeat. I like to do something that like everybody likes. You get the crowd involved.
Yes.
So I'm gonna think on that one.
I like it. Very good. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
This podcast is brought to you by Ruler of Hope. Ruler of Hope is a nonprofit that supports medically fragile children. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can use Venmo at Ruler-Hope or online at rulerofhope.org.
For a replay of this episode or previous episodes, visit coacheswifelife.org and follow us on social media at Coaches Wife Life.